Gabe, top right-hand corner. Speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, from Mouse Sports, currently 3-0 in the group, it is HeroMarine.
All right, at the 7 o'clock position, we have the Russian Protoss, currently a free agent. It is Strange. Strange opting to go for the main base SimCity instead of going for the anti-Reaper wall off. So most likely, if he spots if it's Reaper first, then probably gonna plant the shield battery as a safety valve. Oh, HeroMarine, he's not a big fan of TVP, yet he always has delineated strong performance in this matchup. So I would expect him to replicate that top caliber TVP as well. So it will be very interesting to see what BK goes for. He usually goes for either a very conventional style or he plays in a cunning fashion. Like he won't do like some crazy proxy cheeses or like, you know, going proxy double racks or something like that. But he will manipulate the situation really well. Like for instance, his signature play would be usually used on Curious Minds, using the empty medevac to lure in the stalkers of the Protoss, and then actually get a ideal position set up using the Marines and tanks to really bash onto the process natural. So that's usually his MO. So we'll see whether Big Abe is going to pull out similar style of that, and how Strange would react accordingly regarding to Big Abe's plays, because the Terran has the tempo in the early game of TVP.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I mean, Big Gabe, it's not just his size that is big, it is of course his brains as well. He's just a very, very intelligent player when it comes to all matchups. That's the reason why he is, you know, I mean, for the longest time he was just the only top 1 Terran in Europe. Of course, with Clem's rise, that, you know, kind of seesaws back and forth depending on performance. And I think HeroMarine had been not really finding as many results for a little bit, but has gotten some really good games here at the start of this group stages. Of course, I think did have a few of the easier matchups. Did face off against Petite Drogo, and that was, I think, the hardest one he's had up until now. But after that, faced off against Acheron, who is currently, I mean, sitting at the bottom of the group. So, you know, we still have yet to see how the form that HeroMarine really is in. He hasn't played Lambo, hasn't played really any of the other players like Max Pax who are at the top of that group aside from Drogo. But it's a Protoss heavy group, and as we said, even though he doesn't like this matchup, Gabe is pretty good at it. He definitely knows how to play it. His timings has always been one of the strengths for HeroMarine, and that is a massively important part of TVP, is making sure that you're hitting those timings.
Yeah, and we already see an unconventional approach already from Strange. He's going on Robo Force, he's making double observers, and he's also adding in a Robo Bay. Let's just see whether it's going to be Colossus or Disruptor. I won't be surprised from either one. But so one drawback of this type of play is that you are going to be very immobile, which means one mispositioning of your combat units against Terran's harassment, you're going to take so much damage that could potentially be irreparable. So it's all about positioning for the Protoss, and, you know, identifying where the Terran's approach would be from the as soon as possible using the observers. And now the observer was fortunate enough to survive.
It feels bad, man. HeroMarine didn't stutter his Marines quite correctly, as, oh my, 10 probes go down in the natural. As the Widowmine drop came through, I mean, I wasn't even, I knew the Widowmine drop was there. I was not paying attention, but yeah, Strange not fast enough on that pull away. Loses 10 probes is, I mean, that's more than you should really ever lose to this opening, especially, I mean, you have pretty much an opening where you're gonna have units. You went for the very fast robotics bay. You should have stalkers out, but I mean, already HeroMarine finding so much value with that.
Yeah, and that's why I aforementioned that you have to be, you know, on top of your positioning in regards to your army units, because even though, yeah, you have the observer available for detection, but what good that's gonna do if your army unit is not positioned properly, and as a result, you know, Strange taking that heavy hit and like being behind in terms of the worker count versus the Terran as a Protoss at this stage is already pretty devastating. I'm not sure how Strange can actually, you know, climb back from this. But yeah, it's gonna be a Mount Everest to climb for sure. And this is the biggest drawback for robo opening that I mentioned. You're so immobile that once you miss the Terran's medevacs or any sort of Terran's aggressive plays, then you're going to pay a steep price for it.
Yeah, and Colossus are currently in production. I think the next worrisome part is the fact that HeroMarine is actually preparing for a tank push. This isn't going to be Widow Mines. It's 4 tanks, and especially when you have an army like, you know, Stalkers, Colossus, and Immortals, they're good. They can get rid of tanks, but the question is, can they get on top of them? And with this composition, it's going to be extremely hard for Strange to actually defend this push. You have the Raven, hasn't used any energy, is currently sitting with enough for almost 2 full interference matrices. Will have that by the time this comes across the map. The +1, the stim, the comet shields, they are all finishing up. As this push comes out, Strange is going to try and intercept it beforehand, but just look at this. HeroMarine knows exactly how much time he needs to buy and already gets a bunch of shells onto that Colossus.
Yeah, huge volley. And then there's the drop at the main, using the Marines and a medevac, killing off the Stalker, going to get 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, I think, yeah, 14. And his third is under siege with the interference matrix being activated onto the Colossus. I think this is just going to be all she wrote for the Protoss this game.
Yep, GG is called. It's clean, it's quick, and it is swift for HeroMarine, able to get the win. And, well, I mean, I think we kind of expected that. HeroMarine, he's good at this matchup, and he shows exactly how he can maneuver, especially taking that probe damage. That's just not really acceptable against a player of the caliber of HeroMarine.
Yeah, I mean, this is why sometimes it's really tough as a Protoss, because even though you anticipate one thing, if you react even a split second late, then you just pay a steep price. So you have to be extra meticulous, and this is exactly why a lot of the pro players, especially in Korea, do not prefer Robo First at all, unless you're going to get super aggressive, like for instance, like going Proxy Robo, something like that. Then they do not prefer going Robo First, because you need that Blink Stalkers to get rid of those potential medevac draws if spotted previously, before it approaches to the Protoss space. So normally the Protoss would use pylons to spot them, and then you want to have 5 Stalkers available, because 5 Stalkers will allow to 2-shot the medevac, 1 medevac. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a very lackluster defense coming off from Strange, and he really needs to clean that up. And I think it's just the MO of all 3 series thus far. Whoever fails to make a stellar defense in the early game is just going to get completely steamrolled.
Yeah, that really has been the name of the game, is your early game up to snuff, because none of these players are really doing anything too crazy here. HeroMarine, that's a standard Widowmine drop. You know, we saw Hellraiser, fairly standard Oracle Adept openings, and their opponents were not able to defend them well enough, and taking that much damage early on is just not really acceptable. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be heading on into our next match. It is going to be on Glittering Ashes, and there's a chance here that we see potentially another quick game, but we can also see this go very, very long. Ladies and gentlemen, bottom left-hand corner, currently teamless, it is Strange.
All right, and this red Terran at the 1 o'clock position probably wants to seal the deal ASAP and, you know, go do his things. It's the biggest of the big games. It's HeroMarine from Mouse Sports.
And this is the first time that I have seen Glittering Ashes in a while. It is usually banned away in most matches, or in most matchups, including Zerg, just because it is gosh darn big, Brian. This is a very big map.
Yeah, but I think for HeroMarine, you would rather want to get rid of the maps with gold minerals that can add extra variability. So I completely understand him vetoing out Pride and Blackburn. At the same time, Strange took out Curious and Berlin as expected. Usually, it depends on the Protoss styles, but if you're gonna play more of a macro style, then usually Pride is also one of the top veto list in PvT as well for the Protoss. But since Big Gabe took it out, I think Strange was able to get rid of both Curious and Berlin respectively. And that's why we have Glittering Ashes and 2K as the remaining maps after that initial hardwire. I think BK would be completely fine with this map order. All he wanted to do is just get rid of those variances coming off from the gold mineral maps.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Those gold mineral maps, it's really easy for Protoss to take those bases without necessarily being punished, especially Pride of Altaris. And that can lead to, as you said, a lot of variance in what the Protoss is able to do. It makes it a lot harder for the Terran to calculate, oh, well, here's my timing if I push here, and really do the math on the numbers when they're trying to take a fight. As we're going to see once again, that Reaper makes its way on in. Stalker going to push it out, and HeroMarine, pretty much gets all the information he needs. Does not see that Twilight Council, though, has been placed at the back of the base. We have seen some Protosses on this map usually try and take sometimes a Stargate opening with the Oracles, just because it is very easy for those air units to get across this map with how much space there is. But not going to be the case for Strange, just immediately into that Twilight Council. And, Brian, do you think that this could potentially be for any sort of aggression?
Well, this time around, Big Gabe actually switched gears. He placed the factory right beneath the barracks, so it was screaming reactor Hellions. For Strange, he always starts Stalker first. So the biggest drawback for that is that you can push off the Reaper without the presence of a shield battery. But at the same time, you're going to be blind for quite some time because your Adept will be so slow. And he's not even sending out the Adept. He's just basically using it to defend the potential Reaper climbing up to the his main base. So he's basically playing quite blind, and there's the two Hellions already. HeroMarine wasting no time.
Yeah, it was a great KD8 charge to get into the wall. You could hear it just go off screen. 5 probes get sniped. Everything is cleaned up, but that is plenty worthwhile for the measly 3 units that HeroMarine just committed to that.
Yeah, and then the follow-up will be the 4 mine drop. And if Strange does not acquire vision on time onto the trajectory of those medevacs, then he's going to be in a heap of trouble. Even though Observer is being queued, if HeroMarine is able to split the mines in multiple locations, it's going to take pretty damn long time for Strange to actually clear. But fortunately, he was able to spot it with the Adept, so he knows exactly the pathway of the medevac, so he immediately positions the Stalkers to knife. But the problem is he only has 4 instead of 5. As aforementioned, you need 5 Stalkers to shoot 2-shot the medevac.
Oh, that Widowmine shot!
Oh my god!
Just the tail, and again, HeroMarine finds the damage. The Widowmines are going to fire. They're going to get a Stalker, another probe. And, that was so close to being the pull in time. But HeroMarine just barely manages to find the damage. And suddenly, he's in a very good spot, Your Protoss, what? He has 3 Gate Blink Stalker as a 4th or 3rd base? That doesn't matter. Right now, you're setting up 6 workers.
Nothing really matters for the Protoss at this stage. I'm sorry to all of you watching there, but this is pretty much a Big Gabe's ball to drop. But how many times do you actually see a Big Gabe, dropping the ball when it's in his hands? Not too much.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Big Gabe is a professional NBA basketball player. He does not drop the ball. He's very, very good at this. This game of StarCraft is now, you'll see these stalkers, I mean, try and push out across the map for vision to try and just look if there's any openings, but the spread of units is so good from HeroMarine. He knows that that blink is an option. I mean, has the bunker, has the tank very, very far back, just being extremely safe. And of course, Strange will try and macro back up. You have that chrono boost. It's very useful for getting your worker count back to a manageable position. But of course, the trade-off is, well, you're not building units. You're not really getting tech. And now we're going to have this auto turret harass. Already going to snipe 2 more workers. And man, this is just 2 games in a row. Big Gabe just being absolutely non-stop with his harassment.
Yeah, and at this stage, like, the 4 stalkers at the front aren't accomplishing anything. They might as well just, stay in vicinity of his base and then just trying to deflect any sort of those Raven harass or the drop plays, but failed to do so. And now Big Gabe coming in with a double medevac drop. And I think this is going to deal a significant damage once again, because Strange is spread out so thin and there's nothing much that can defend the third. 2 sentries immediately going down, and these 4 stalkers gonna go down too. And
I think this double drop just might win the game, Brian, because there's nothing here. The recall was too soon, the units are too spread, and suddenly Strange really has nothing left. He's gonna bring over the rest of the units from the main, but has to pull the probes. He's gonna lose so many more workers. And HeroMarine just gets on out. Sure, he loses the medevac, but right now he's up 30 supply. And you don't really care about losing that when, yeah, you got 13 more probes. You've killed 31 this game.
Yeah, another great auto turret harassment coming off from HeroMarine, and he's just gonna siege the third, and I think that's gonna probably nail in the coffin for the Protoss.
Yeah, this attack is deadly. There's a lot of stim bio. It does have +1. Has combat shields, and you're trying to fight it straight up. But the tank, I mean, it's not doing the best. It's just a single tank. We clear out all of the zealots, and there's nothing really left to buffer and to absorb damage for this Protoss army. Strange, I mean, there's no other way to put it, getting absolutely steamrolled in these 2 games. And HeroMarine, we said he'd be looking for a swift win. I don't know if we expected it to be this quick.